In happier news,
Happier
I
news.
finally edited and published our breakdown of Batman,
1989.
Tim Burton's Batman, which we recorded over a year ago. We recorded it on New Year's,
We did?
a year ago. Yeah, it was New Year's Eve. We recorded that. But people were really digging the breakdown, and we didn't really know how people were going to react to us switching, from our flagship topic, which we do every now and then anyway. Usually when we veer from Superman, the views go pew. Not
I
in this
know they
case.
do, but once we start going episode by episode through the classic Battlestar Galactica.
But yeah, people are digging the breakdown, and the views are very comparable to the other breakdowns that we put out. So I'm happy about that. So people are digging it, and they're leaving lots of comments.
Oh wait, we have to reply to people now?
I know. This was interesting. One guy shared an anecdote I hadn't heard. Tom Chris says, I remember when the photos of the black bat suit were released, it stopped any criticism of Michael Keaton being Batman. The first glimpse of the Batmobile also helped greatly. And he says, one more memory. When Batman was in development hell, Adam West expressed an interest in returning to the role.
Yeah.
While the idea may have seemed outrageous, West's take on a new Batman was intriguing. He envisioned a movie closer in spirit to Raiders of the Lost Ark. And he says, come on, who wouldn't have lined up to see that? And I didn't reply to him, but I kind of agree that would have been interesting. I'm not so sure if that would have worked or not.
There was also, and I don't fault the guy because he obviously felt ownership. He was the live action Batman for so many people, and 89 is a long way from 66. But I do remember he courted the press. He was like, oh, interview me now about this thing. And it was his way of trying to get in there. And he said, well, at the very least, I could play Thomas Wayne. It's like I could play Bruce's father. And they didn't go that way. I think primarily because, that's going to distract because that's stunt casting. Yeah. And also Thomas Wayne, as we see in the movie, there's nothing there. It is literally just the origin scene. So if he was in there for a couple of seconds getting gunned down, big whoop. That wouldn't have been great for him either. But he was kind of like, I should be in it because I'm Adam West.
And I'm sure we were just talking about AI. Somebody, if they haven't done it already, they're going to do this.
Yeah, of course.
Any movie, I mean, like 5 or 6 years, any movie you wanted to exist but doesn't exist will exist if you wanted to exist. It's going to be so weird.
Yeah.
It's already anyway. So thank you, Tom, for that comment. I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, I'd known that. There was so much pre-press. I will say the marketing campaign is rightfully, it was over the top. Batman was everywhere. Warner Brothers was like, we're going all in. That was smart, but it was a thing where there were just articles and articles and articles before any of it came out. There was, like, oh, Michael Keaton's the wrong guy. And then they were like seeding like, oh, here's a little glimpse of this. This is what Gotham City looks like. What? And when People Magazine or Us or whatever, like, here's the first look at the suit. And you're like, oh shit, that looks pretty badass. And yes, the black suit, like I said in the video, had its point. Not only is that a badass look, but that will also go a long way of concealing the actor's lack of musculature or the rubberness of the muscle suit. I think it does come across great on film. It looks really awesome. Do I also want to someday see like gray and black? Yeah, I would like that too.
Yeah.
They went there a little bit in The Flash.
Yeah, like a little bit of blue and
Ben
gray.
Affleck's was a little blue in the black and a gray bodysuit. I was like, oh, that's getting closer.
It's cool. Anyway. And in fact, I think the thing was that when people realized that Tim Burton wasn't making a mockery of the character,
that, of course.
And also that Michael Keaton still this day has tremendous amount of respect for the character, and he got into it to a similar degree that Christopher Reeve did Superman. He's
right.
Very much
and actually it was High and Low, I think is the name of his Michael Keaton's drama about the recovering addict. That may not be the name. It's something like that. But
Clean and Sober.
It's Clean and Sober. Yeah, I knew it was something in another thing.
Okay.
Clean and Sober. Yes, that actually. Yeah, like Burton said. When I saw that film, it wasn't the comedic Michael Keaton I'd seen before. and his intensity in it. And the fact I was like going, that's a guy who can struggle with demons, which is what I see Bruce Wayne as. And so that's what kind of convinced him. And I'm like, that's valid. And we all benefited because it was again, a big swing that worked. So we'll all shut up now.
Yeah. And that's why, I mean, ultimately that's why he left the project, because when Tim Burton left, and Joel Schumacher was coming in, Joel wanted to swing it back towards the Adam West goofiness, basically. And so
he wanted color. He wanted to go broader.
Michael, there was a great interview, which I'll send you. It was a podcast that was recorded several years ago, where Keaton explains that he tried really hard to try to convince himself that he could hang with this change, this directorial direction change, and he just couldn't do it, and because Joel just didn't get it. Because Joel, one of the things he said to him was like, I don't understand why it has to be so dark and depressing. It's like, and Michael was like, don't you understand what Bruce Wayne's background is? The whole reason this character exists is tragedy.
I will say, there's a little bit, though, it doesn't excuse not being familiar with a character who you've just been handed and you're going to do the next movie. You need to know the character. But there is the thing that we've seen. These characters are malleable, and I have to remind myself of that when I get like on my high horse about that's not Superman. Okay. They're malleable. So in other words, when the Brave and the Bold cartoon came out, which is highly funny, it's a funny Batman cartoon. And it's delightful. And I sit there going like, well, I can watch Batman 66. I can watch Adam West's Batman and grimace at the corniness, but it's still a valid Batman. Batman has been been on the moon. He's had weird powers. I mean, all that stuff in the 50s and 60s. There was some crazy shit in Batman. And that goes hand in hand with, Frank Miller and like, there's nothing wrong with you, Joker, that I can't fix with my hands. That kind of stuff. I mean, Batman can be a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And is there one take that is accurate? That's the take in our hearts. I mean, basically, it's like what worked for me. I do like a much more serious Batman, but I also don't think he needs to be, anything that Zack Snyder wanted him to be. Yeah. I don't need him blowing people up. I just don't. Anyway, so yes. What did other people say?
Okay.
Just get to the comments that are like, Brendan's looking really nice today.
Mike Ortega says, I realize the flaws in this movie, but it's because of Batman 89 that I got into comics. So yeah. I think that's true with a lot of people, a lot of kids.
I do think every time one of these, and the MCU has been a good example, superhero movies sometimes catch the attention and draw in people that never read comics. And the movie is so good or so exciting to them that I like the fact that they can feed each other. And I was happy in 89 when I knew that people were like going, man, I haven't looked at a comic book since I was like 6. Yeah. And they're like, dang, when did they get so good? And for adults, it's like, well, you just haven't kept up, yo. I used to do that a lot in 89. But yes, I'm glad that it had that effect. And I'm sure that Burton would be like, yeah, great, cool.
Okay, so this last one, I saved this for last because I think it's going to be one of the bigger discussions. Our friend Wes McGee. Hey, Wes. He says, this was a comment on the breakdown towards the end of the episode.
Did he give a time code? He always gives time codes.
He does, yeah. This is a 1 hour, 56 minutes, 4 seconds into the episode.
All right. I remember it well.
With regard to overthinking the Joker, which is something you were discussing at the end of the thing and talking about the DCEU's, the Jared Leto version of the Joker with the tattoos and all that stuff. And so Wes says, he's insane, but he's a master organizer and incentivizer and onboarder who manages a complex network of thugs who do his bidding, completing tasks with unerring accuracy to take on a genius-level Olympic athlete with detective skills and an unlimited special effects budget. Very true. But then this is where I'm not on the same page with West. He says, I don't think it's possible to overthink the Joker. He is an impossibility. I may not like the way a given creative team depicts him, but they're struggling trying to put this walking contradiction onto the big screen and yet have him somehow grounded. But the thing I found funny about him saying it's not possible to overthink him, what he described there, the way he described his character, which is very accurate. I think that ironically, that's exactly why it is so easy to overthink him. Because if you start
Yes.
trying to explain that, or start
Yes.
trying to come up with stories that explain how he is the way he is, that's where it starts to get kind of bogged down in the weeds.
I very much agree. And I agree with you too, Wes. That is a great summation. At the same time, the comics like to just ignore that and skip over. And the reason is, if you go too much into what is the method versus what is the madness with the character, if you make him too intelligent and thoughtful and calculating and so forth, and sometimes he is that in the comics regardless, but they're not showing you him sitting there looking at diagrams and blueprints. They don't often do that. He has come up with a plan, he has people, but he is a character that is all about impact. You don't want to see his methodology. You kind of want to see Bruce Wayne's methodology, and we've got lots of that, of him doing the detective work, putting on disguises, blending with the underworld, all that kind of stuff. And we just expect that because that's basically his Sherlock Holmes and the Shadow all mixed together kind of thing of his character. But the Joker is supposed to seemingly be on total whimsical chaos that will net him some money, obviously, to keep his organization going, but also just to have a huge impact, which means he clearly thought this through. But he's also the character that goes, I like the color purple, so I'm going to paint the biggest building in Gotham purple for no reason, because I want them to know the Joker's here. And it does depend on the creative team. Sometimes it is where you sit there going like, sometimes you get taken out of a comic, and it's same in the movie where you're like, wait, here's the biggest question in Batman comics. Why do any of these villains, specifically the Joker, ever get a second gang? Because the gangs are either killed or locked up, and the Joker is known for randomly just offing people who work for him, and that makes him terrifying. So who would ever sign up for another gig with the Joker? So, in other words, all of that's correct, but it is things that you have to shove to the back because it is more about the impact the character has. There was a miniseries, which, okay, I admit I didn't read. So come at me in the comments, but the thesis of the miniseries was like, I don't like this. Jeff Johns, who was the creative guy in charge, or at least he was in charge of like the Hollywood during the Snyder era. And he is a brilliant guy. I've loved so much of his comics stuff, but he did a couple of miniseries several years ago that was like, one was Doomsday Clock, which was his essentially connecting the DC universe with the Watchmen universe.
Yeah.
And it ends with Superman and Dr. Manhattan facing off. And I'm like, don't. But they did. And, Batman meets Rorschach. Wow. Okay, anyway. And another one he did was called The Three Jokers. And his whole premise was this. He decided to overthink the Joker. As in, it's well known because of the different eras of comics, the, Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, so forth. The Joker's been very different. And Batman too, but they didn't make something called the Three Batman. But anyway, he decided to posit that the Joker was actually three different people, all being the Joker at different times. And one of them is a criminal mastermind, evil guy. One of them is the whimsical sort of performer guy who comes up with the weird, funny, scams. And then the other one is, I don't know, like the serial killer crazy dude. But it's just sort of like, ugh, I hated it in concept.
Yeah.
Didn't read it. Sorry. If you guys loved the Three Jokers, great. The art was great.
When did that come out?
Like 2010, maybe.
Okay. Because the example I cited to West in my reply was what they did with him in Gotham. I don't know if you ever watched those.
I never got to that point. I had already given up on the show.
It was Cameron Monaghan who did a really great performance as the character, but they did a really weird, long, drawn out thing with him, which was very overcomplicated.
I was only off by a decade. 2020. It actually came out.
It was after Gotham.
Yeah.
Then. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it was inspired with what they did with the character in Gotham. I was reading about this earlier, and in defense of the creators of Gotham, who did a lot of really cool stuff on that show, but they were also limited by what Warner Brothers was allowing them to do. And one of the things that they were limited by was they weren't allowed to use the name the Joker, and they weren't even allowed to give him green hair, which was a damn shame because Cameron Monaghan killed it in that performance, I thought. And it was very, the Gotham is like one of those old guard, one of the last of those, the old way of doing television where they kind of try to draw things out, stretch things out as long as they possibly can.
And season-wide arc.
And story threads get changed along the way, but depending on the popularity of different characters and stuff, and they'll bring back characters who died because they were too popular.
So in Gotham, the Joker is a teenager.
Yeah, he's introduced in season 2 initially as a character named Jerome Valenska. It was almost like introduced initially as like it's like an episode of Law and Order where there's been a murder, and you find out through the course of the episode he's the actual murderer, and so he gets pinned for it and thrown in Arkham Asylum, and that's the end of it. It was just one-off episode. That was originally all it was intended to be, but because he was so good in the role, people demanded more. So that's obviously he's the Joker. Bring him back. We need the Joker. So they did, and they brought him back, and he dies. And then still fans weren't satisfied. It's like, no, what are you doing? Don't kill the Joker. And so then he's resurrected. I think it was through something that Hugo Strange is doing. I'm trying to remember how, and the way they resurrected him, it was kind of fun when he was being resurrected. I was like, oh, this is going to be kind of cool. But then this is where it really starts getting complicated because now it's not just Jerome, it's his twin brother, Jeremiah, both played by Cameron Monaghan. And so they're for a brief period, they're sort of playing off of each other, and then Jerome dies again.
Okay,
and then Jeremiah goes crazy after he dies, and it basically starts becoming the Joker himself. But still, they don't ever call him the Joker, and it was so ridiculously overcomplicated.
Everything you just said has given me a headache.
I know, and it was so frustrating because Cameron was so great in the role, and he was bringing in a lot of. There was some Heath Ledger there. There was a lot of Jack Nicholson in his performance. There was a lot of Mark Hamill in his delivery. He was bringing all these sort of iconic influences into what he was doing and making it his own. But he was never really able to completely embody the character because of the limitations.
My problem with Gotham, and to go off on a tangent, why I gave up was not that that's a bad concept of like, oh, what was the city like before the villains came and we needed a Batman? But they were like, no one's going to watch it if it's just a procedural cop show set in Gotham City with some recognizable names here and there. So basically, let's meet all the villains before they get there. And that just somehow Jim Gordon ends up meeting all of the rogues gallery before before that bat flies through the window and gives Bruce Wayne the idea. Let's watch Bruce Wayne at his least interesting points before he goes off to travel the world and become the greatest detective and fighter. It's like, no. Yeah. So I found it really lame, as a lot of people say with any kind of prequel. Oh yeah, let's definitely watch a show about what happened before everything got interesting.
Yeah, well, it's incredibly frustrating because this was one of those examples. They have a great cast who aren't able to actually do the cool stuff that you want to see them do. Right. Great. Jim Gordon was great. We had Donald Logue as Bullock. Great.
I liked the casting a lot.
I don't know the actor who played the Penguin and the Riddler, but they were both great.
Yeah, but the problem with them was, for me in that show too, it's like, and I said this too with Jack Napier in Batman '89, if they are older than Batman.
Yeah.
If Batman is, because I think Gotham starts and Bruce is like 12 or 13 or something.
Right. And his parents had just died.
Yeah. That basically means that by the time he is now Batman in his 20s, he's going to be beating on 50-year-old dudes. Mm-hmm. I don't need them all to have been born the same year, but it seems ridiculous. Maybe the Penguin, because he's a rotund dude and was never a physical dude. But if you have like the Riddler being like a 30-year-old, when again, it's like, guys, think of the future. Mm-hmm. There you go. That's a quote from Batman '89. Yeah. So yeah, I just the concept just kept getting goofier, and I was like, it's well made and it's well shot. I gave up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I gave up on Smallville, and I'm the world's biggest Superman fan here, but I just got tired of it. Jeez, I don't know, somewhere around season 6. I don't know, maybe.
But it's just what I was saying. It's like we're in a new era of TV now where they plan things out meticulously ahead of time, and they keep it compact.
Plus, they're actually putting it within the time frame of when these characters are interesting.
Yeah,
when they are the character. But yes, I don't even. Overthinking the Joker.
Yeah,
West, you're right, and you're right and wrong at the same time, in my opinion. Yeah. Because yes, he is a character that shouldn't be over explained because he works best as an impact character. At the same time, it can't just be nonsense of logic. And I think that a lot of the projects, including Dark Knight, the movie, gave us a lot of great ideas for how his mind works. But yeah, the thing about creating a Jack Napier, creating all that gangster backstory and all that stuff for 89 was unnecessary, but it didn't detract. The main problem I had, as I said, was that Jack Nicholson was the right guy, but 20 years too late. John always gets on my back for like going age shaming actors. I'm not age shaming. It's when a great part finds a great actor too late, or sometimes even too early. It's like they would have been perfect if, and that can be frustrating. I'm always saying, like, don't start hiring your Marvel superhero actors in their late 30s, because if you want movies or a TV show, they take years to produce. So 2 movies in, you got a guy in his 50s pretending that he's, whoever. So you got to start early with the superheroes, because you're going to want them to make multiple projects as that character. And I don't want a 60-year-old Batman unless the story is about a 60-year-old Batman. Then I'm totally there.
Right.
Anyway, I did read a comment that did stick out to me, because of all the comments I've seen, it was the most right one I've read. And it was the one that said, I don't know why you guys don't have 1 million subscribers. I don't know who wrote that. I don't remember the name, but I thank you specifically, because you're right. We should have 1 million subscribers. And we just hit, I think recently, 6.66 thousand viewers or followers. I'm like, ooh, the number of the beast.
Well, somebody commented on that specific comment saying, because we just passed 6,660 at that point.
Yes.
It was 6660. And he just goes, 666 is more metal, man. And it was shortly after that we hit what we were earlier today, 66666.
So wrong. So in other words, tell your friends and neighbors about us to get us to at least 7,000, so we're no longer the Antichrist.
Right.
But we appreciate all of you, and hopefully you're still enjoying us babbling about the things that actually don't make any difference in the world. I sit there and I watch the news and I just feel so depressed. I'm like, oh, later today, I get to spend at least an hour talking about comics or movies with Chad. That puts a smile on my face. And then this ends and I go back to the hell that is the real world. But anyway, we'll chime in, and perhaps next week we will be talking about Wonder Man. I assume we probably will want to dive in.
If I have time to watch it, because it depends on what happens.
I know you're going out of town. I'll do an episode by myself. I'm like going, Wonder Man's really good. And then I'll be you going, is it? Yeah, it's really good, Chad. Oh, okay. It'll just be me doing it. I'm working on my Chad puppet. It's like paper mache, but it's not quite finished yet.
Yeah.
You won't be necessary in a while.
Wonder Man's very handsome.
Yes, he is, Chad.
Oh, I like him. I like him too. I want to give him a kiss.
Okay.
You just confuse all of our millennial watchers. The
fuck is Brandon doing? We have any? I like when we make really dated references and someone goes, showing your age. And I'm like, yeah. Yep. Next, we'll be talking about Mr. Whipple from the old Charmin commercials. All right. Anyway, bye, everybody. Thanks. Peace, apps.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much.
Always follow the P. Wherever
Always
it leads.